Om Jnanatimrandasya Chinanjala Shlakya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namaha Shitchaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svam Rupakadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shiyo Shiyuda Padakamanam Shigum Vaishnavam Shah Shri Rupam Sarjatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parjana Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shivishakam Vitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bandha Jatpate Gopesha Gopka Kanta Radhakanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavani Siddhadevi Pranamama Haripriye Vancha Kalptrubhisha Kripasin Bhavisha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Recording in progress.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namini Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesa Sinyavadi Paskachai Desatani Srila Prabhupada Ki. This morning we will discuss chapter 19 of the 10th Canto, Lord Krishna swallowing the forest fire. So the fire represents situations or tension, conflicts or crises that overwhelm a devotee which only Krishna's shelter can extinguish. So we will now go to the Bhagavatam. Yeah, Bhagavatam. Yeah. So we have the summary, but we will start with text 1. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 19, Text 1. Shri Sukha Uvacha Krida Sakti Sugope Su Tatkavo Duracharini Svairam Sharantyo Vivisus Trina Lobhena Gavaram. The translation. Can someone read the translation?
Translation. Shukadev Goswami said, while the cowherd boys were completely absorbed in playing, their cows wandered far away. They hungered for more grass, and with no one to watch them, they entered a dense forest.
So Vishwanath Thakur writes, yeah, the boys were... No, it's okay. We don't have to read all these purports.
Shall I read the highlighted part?
You can, yeah.
Okay. While the boys were absorbed in playing, the cows, wandering far off, Duracharani, out of greed for grass, entered a dense forest.
So the boys were so absorbed in playing that they forgot about the cows. Of course, when they went to the forest, their expectations was to play with Krishna. And that was foremost in their mind, Krishna. And they forgot. And the cows, yeah, they are following the path where they find grass, and they entered a dense forest. We will hear more about that. Now, Jiva Goswami says, being absorbed in their grazing activities with a greed generated by experiencing the bliss of being herded by Krishna, the bliss of Gokul, they had greed for the grass. So we see at one side, the cowherd boys, they are absorbed in playing, and the cows are absorbed in eating grass. Both are absorbed, but both are related to Krishna. The cowherd boys played with Krishna, and the cows experienced the bliss of being herded by Krishna. So Krishna is always the center, and even for the cows. So Sanatana Goswami said, their cows, or unlimited cows, wandered off and entered a dense forest out of greed for grass. So none much as 900,000 cows. It's like unlimited, and they wander up in the dense forest out of greed for grass. Though protected by the Lord by this greed for enjoyment, they fell into difficulty. So that's also a lesson to learn for us, that we may accept Krishna's protection, following his instructions, but then we deviate and we want something for our false self, for the body, for the mind, that gives pleasure. And we forget for a moment Krishna, and we fall into difficulty. So we are the architect of our own future and our own problems. So similarly here, they wandered by their own desires and thus met with difficulty. Important lesson to learn. That text 2. Ajagavo mahiyascha nirvisantyo vanadvanam ishiktakatavim nirvivisu katyanto davatarsita. You can someone read, yes.
Passing from one part of the great forest to another, the goats, cow, and buffalo eventually entered an area overgrown with the sour grains. The heat of the nearby forest fire made them thirsty, and they cried out in distress.
Yes, they cried out of this distress. That there were not only cows, also goats and buffaloes. They entered an area overgrown with sharp canes. And it seemed nearby there was a forest fire, and that made them thirsty. They cried out in distress. They were in difficulty. Jiva Goswami writes, they became thirsty because of the heat of the summer sun, which was like a forest fire. Okay. Text 3. Te pasyanta pasun gopa Krishna Rama dayastata Jatanutapana vido vichimvanto gavam gatim. Yeah, next read.
Not seeing the cows before them, Krishna, Rama, and their cowherd friends suddenly felt repentant for having neglected them. The boys searched all around but could not discover where they had gone.
Yeah. Just a moment. I'm writing down something. So suddenly they were playing, but suddenly they saw the cows are not there. This is our livelihood. And they became repentant. We have neglected them. And they started to search around, but could not discover where they are gone. But they will follow a path. We will hear about that, how they will find them. Shiva Goswami. Even though the two boys were present, the others could not find the cows. The reason is that the two boys wanted to have some fun. Interesting that for Krishna and Balaram, this forest fire which will come is some fun. And we will see Krishna will turn it into a festival again. That he will do wonderful things. So previously in the 13th chapter of this 10th canto, text 16, we heard, thereafter when Krishna was unable to find the calves, he returned to the bank of the river. But there he was unable to see the cowherd boys. Thus he began to search for both the calves and the boys everywhere in the forest. But of course in the 13th chapter is a different situation. There Brahma had taken away the cows and the calves, so that being absorbed in affectionate pastime, he also identified with their state of consciousness. So Krishna was also worried. Sanatana Goswami. Balaram is mentioned after Krishna because Krishna had a great desire for fun, and Balaram followed after him. Okay, that's text 4. Trinastat kuradat shiner Gospadair ankiter kavam Margam anvagamam sarve Nastadshivya Vishetasa. Yeah.
Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance.
Hare Krishna.
Then the boys began tracing out the cow's path by noting their hoof prints and the blades of grass the cows had broken with their hoofs and teeth. All the cowherd boys were in great anxiety because they had lost their source of livelihood.
Yeah.
Could I read further, Maharaj?
No. So they were in great anxiety, but they started to trace out the cows. How did they do? That by searching for their hoof prints and see where the grass was tramped and where and broken things, that blades of grass broken, so they knew the signs how to find the cows by noting all these signs, and they followed them. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, they followed the path of the cows, the means of their livelihood, by their hoof prints and the grass torn by hoofs and teeth. Grass torn by hoofs and teeth. They were eating it, but the grass and the hoof prints. That was the method. Sanatana Goswami, they were like people who lost their livelihood and became bewildered. That because they were living from the cows and the calves, was their livelihood. Munshatavyam prastamaryam kandamanam svagodanam sampapya trisita shantas tataste sanyavartayan. Can someone read?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Within the Munja forest, the cowherd boys finally found their valuable cows who had lost their way and were crying. Then the boys, thirsty and tired, headed the cow onto the path back home.
Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
So they are in the Munya forest. That before in the previous chapter, they were in Bandiravan, where you have this big banyan tree, Bandiravan. And now they are in the Munja forest. So they found their cows, that the cows were crying. They lost their way because they got stuck in the forest. That we will hear in the commentaries, I think, about that. But then the boys, thirsty and tired, herded the cows on the path back home. They were going back home. They are on the way to Vrindavan village. Okay. The Chief Goswami, they obtained the cows with all experienced the highest auspiciousness. They returned all together because of wandering all about. They became thirsty and tired. Text 6. Ta ahuta bhagavata megahambiraya gira svananam ninadam shutva patinedo prahashita. The Supreme Personality of Godhead called out the animals in a voice that resounded like rumbling cloud. Hearing the sound of their own names, the cows, overjoyed, called out to the Lord in reply. So that's very beautiful, the cows. And Krishna, there's a reciprocation. It's wonderful, the cows, they know their names. Of course, there are many cows and groups of cows with different features, groups of cows, but they recognize their names, the group name or the individual name. This Vishwanath Thakur said, this verse describes how Krishna rescued the cows. Seeing each one, he called out their names and they answered by mooing. So that's how they answered. So, because it said in the verse, and called out of the Lord, but how did they do it? By mooing. So, Jiva Goswami, what happened when they found the cows is described. The Krishna of cows called the cows to satisfy the cows and the cowherd boys. He called with a voice like rumbling of clouds, which was very deep, Gambhiraya. The word Gambhira describes primarily a deep hole in the ground. By analogy, it indicates a deep water in that deep hole, from which the sound rising is deep in tone. The sound of the clouds is similarly deep. The voice of the Lord was similar in tone. He called the cows individual names, in that deep voice, with a sweet tone, Ninadam. Hearing that, the cows were blissfully and made sounds in reply. So deep voice. That's beautiful reciprocation. Krishna is concerned with all living entities. That also the cows were engaged in his service. That we have many cows in our temples who are engaged in the Lord's service, who are supplying milk which is offered to the deities. Very nice. Text 7. Tata samanta davadu maketuh yatricchaya bhut ksayakrit vanakasam samirita sarat Tinol banol muker Fideli hana stirajangamam. Suddenly a great forest fire appeared on all sides, threatening to destroy all the forest creatures. Yeah, maybe I'm reading, someone else can read. Who is the next to read?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Suddenly, a great forest fire appeared on all sides, threatening to destroy all the forest creatures. Like a chariot driver, the wind swept the fire onward, and terrible sparks shot in all directions. Indeed, the great fire extended its tongue to flame towards all moving and non moving creatures.
So this is the material world. Everything looks good. Suddenly, something happens. That a forest fire comes. In our lives, so many things happen suddenly and things change. We can't control that. So this padam yat vipadam natesham. There is danger at every step in this world. That you can read also the one-line purport.
Just as Krishna, Balaram, and the cowherd boys were about to take their cows back home, the forest fire previously mentioned raged out of control and surrounded all of them.
Surrounded, the fire circumambulated them. That no way out. We will see what's happening now. That so Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur said, this fire was factually a demon. It was a friend of Pralambasu, and he came to retaliate. That so here, Jiva Goswami. Some say that this fire was a demon friend of Pralamba, since actual forest fires are forbidden from appearing in Vrindavan. He says it's forbidden in Vrindavan, such fires. Not allowed. But still, it happened. It sparks like meteors. It fiercely burned all beings because it spread everywhere. So there was a fierce forest fire. Sanatana Goswami, it seemed to want to live among the people of Vraj since it entered Krishna's mouth later. The demon wanted to live in Vraj, the fire demon. But yeah, that Jiva Goswami says it's forbidden. But it will get a mercy and enter Krishna's mouth later. Interesting purports. That text 8. Tam apatantam parito davachnim kopasagava pasamikshabhitaha uchyusa krishnam sabalam papana yatahari mrityu payartitachana. As the cows and cowherd boys stared at the forest fire attacking them on all sides, they became fearful. Yeah, can someone else read? Because I'm like the cowherd boys. I'm too absorbed in the pastime. I forget you have to read. So someone else can read.
Translation: As the cows and cowherd boys stared at the forest fire attacking them on all sides, they became fearful. The boys then approached Krishna and Balaram for shelter, just as those who are disturbed by fear of death approach the Supreme Personality Godhead. The boys addressed them as follows.
So there was no way out. That if Krishna would not help, they would not survive the forest fire. So they approached Krishna for help. And we will hear their request of the cowherd boys. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, the cowherd boys spoke to Krishna. Why? because they remembered that Garga said, this boy will protect you from all dangers. So we should, and we have to enter the consciousness of the cowherd boys. They are not thinking that Krishna is God. No way. But Garga Muni said at the name-giving ceremony, this boy will be equal to Narayan in power. So they were remembering that and said, and they addressed Krishna, please help us. So, and then Shiva Goswami, Sridham and others would not make such requests since they were close to Krishna. So Sridham, and you have these different cowherd boys, we have the different levels, but Sridham was, he considered them completely equal to Krishna. That so he would not make such requests, Shiva Goswami says. So then at the end Shiva Goswami writes, people suffering because of fear, samsara, not just immediate death, surrender to the Lord. So it said, he said, yeah, we are all suffering from samsara. Death is one of the sufferings. Suffering is a constant experience. So the boys were afraid of separation from Krishna, not death as in the previous fire. That will be clear later. So they were afraid of separation from Krishna. That's like dying for them. So it's another consciousness than materialistic people in this world. Sanatana Goswami, they were frightened, bitaha, for the cows. So that's, their concern is for the cows, not merely for themselves. That was the same when, we will see that later, when Krishna leaves Govardhan, and then Indra sends his devastating clouds, Samvartaka clouds, then all the residents of Vrindavan, they are praying to Krishna, please save the cows, save the cows, save the cows. Save the cows, and when you save the cows, save also us, but first the cows. That's the point. So the cows called out without fear of death. They only feared separation from the Lord, same as Jiva Goswami. Text 9. Krishna, Krishna, Mahavira, He Rama, Moha Vikrama, Davachnina, Dayamanam, Prapanam, Stratum, Arataha. The cowherd boys. Yeah, please.
The cowherd boys said, O Krishna, Krishna, most powerful one, O Rama, you whose prowess never fails, please save your devotees who are about to be burned by this forest fire and have come to take shelter of you.
So, Shiva Goswami, they called out to Krishna as a person with great power, the powerful one, just as Pralamba had considered him powerful. That we'll see later, because this is a verse here which is related to chapter 25. 25 is Lord Krishna lives Govardhan Hill. No, it's chapter 18. That's the previous chapter. That's where, because it said Pralamba had considered him powerful, and that is the verse from that we discussed yesterday. And there it said, considering Krishna invincible, that formless demon, so Pralamba, quickly carried Balaram far from the spot where he was supposed to put his passenger down. So that's like the same thing that the Pralamba considered them invincible, and the coward boys considered them very powerful. So they pray, "You can save us who have surrendered unto me." They say this out of great fear. Okay, text 10. Munam tvat bandava Krishna na sharantya vasaditum vayami sarva dharmakya tvanatas tvat parayanaha. Next to it, translation.
Krishna, certainly your own friends shouldn't be destroyed. O knower of the nature of all things, we have accepted you as our Lord, and we are souls surrendered unto you.
So they have great faith that we have also seen and in the past time with Agasur, that they all entered the mouth of Krishna. Krishna will save. They have all entered the mouth of Agasur, and they were thinking, if it's a demon, yeah, Krishna will save us. That so that brings another point up, is faith. Faith, Krishna will save us. Now we have the purport of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. These are all short purports. You should not act so that your friends experience suffering avasaditum like other people. And Sanatana Goswami. First the boys called to both Krishna and Balaram as appropriate at that time. Then they called to Krishna alone out of special affection and realization of his special powers. Okay. That now we are halfway, and I want to discuss with you a few things. So the cows, although they were engaged in Krishna's service, that they got in difficulty by their own fault. That greedy out of grass, they followed the path and got in difficulty. So did you have any experience in your devotional life where you get in difficulty by your own fault? I personally have many, but maybe you are all more elevated and don't have difficulties in your spiritual life. But if you want to share, no, don't feel shy, but you are also not obliged. If you want to share, please. That it's always good to learn from the lessons of others. Yes, Shiva's Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Pranams Maharaj. So I was just remembering when we are preaching, sometimes we go out of our way and try to help people. And sometimes that actually reacts to us and comes out in some way where we get into some difficulty. So this is something which I just came to my mind. Because generally in our Bhaktivedanta preaching, love and care, and in the name of that, sometimes we go forward and help them, and sometimes some misunderstanding comes, and sometimes just trying, not able to get any particular situation, but most of the times if we are not consciously working on it and see how properly we don't do it, then it actually backfires to us. There's some thoughts on that.
Okay, thank you for sharing. That's someone else. Any thoughts? That in difficulty by our own fault. That's a general principle. principle for everyone in this world. We are in difficulty because of our own fault. By our own fault, with our own desires, we got this body. That we got into the samsara. We are the architect of our future. That's part of our philosophy. So we are all expert in that, to get in difficulty by our own fault. But during the devotional service, we have to be careful that because many times we can't control our tongue. We speak something, but we should not. That always speak about sense gratification instead of Krishna, prajalpam. That so yes, that these are lessons we learn from these pastimes. But it's unavoidable to make errors. But we see Krishna is merciful. He saves the cows. He reciprocates with the cows very nicely. Yes, Yadras Krishna.
Maharaj, I have a question. Then after that, maybe I'll share the message I've done. Maharaj, my question is that in that previous verse, we found that Krishna not only herded cows, but also mentioned goats and buffaloes. But actually, this is the first time I'm hearing, Maharaj. Any verse mention goats, Krishna herded goats and also buffalo as well. All the while I was thinking, all the verses I never came across, I don't know others, but I never came across verses mention Krishna herded goats and buffaloes, except this one verse. So is it only today Krishna brought goats and buffaloes? Or always, whenever Krishna heard, he always bring goats and buffalo?
Yeah, there is a chapter later that's describing the summer in Vrindavan, that the beauty of Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada wrote a Light of the Bhagavad based on that chapter. And there many kinds of animals in Vrindavan are mentioned. And I think also the buffaloes are there. I remember that. So they are part of the scene in Vrindavan. But as far as I know, it's not mentioned anywhere that they were herding goats and buffaloes.
Yeah.
They were just part of the scene. They were there in Vrindavan. And they are mentioned here in this verse. But when they went back to the village, they didn't herd these buffaloes and goats back to the village. No, that's not mentioned.
Yeah.
But they are part of the scene, and that's part of Vrindavan. Yes.
So we can understand from here, Maharaj, that Krishna and his friend been herding goats and buffalo all the while. Can we understand it, way?
That I don't know. Like I said, they are part of the scene. They are there in Vrindavan. That sometimes when we wandered to Vraj, we saw goats or buffaloes here and there. And some people may keep them. But is it mentioned that they were herding them in this chapter?
No, Maharaj. I mean, this only verse. I don't know about the others. If anybody found any other verses, they can voice out. But as far as I know, this only verse, Maharaj. That's why I might be surprised.
Yeah, we can research that. If we go to the database. But first we can go back here. Yep. First I want to them. It's not this one that I wanted to see. Where was it? The moment. If I look here. Okay, now it should appear. Zoom. Okay, share. It's strange. It does not appear anymore. It's here, yeah. So we are at text 10. We go back to this verse. Which verse number was it?
This is verse number 2, Maharaj.
2. Okay.
But in the search it says only this place in the whole Bhagavad.
Yeah. Verse 2. Goats, cows, and buffaloes. Goats, buffalo. Now, goat, buffalo is mahisya, and goat is ajamat. No, aja. It's also other meetings. That, but if we then go to the database, yeah, I have to start it. Okay. Back to the Zoom. Share. And you have the database here. Okay. Now we will try to satisfy your quest for knowledge. Okay. Mahisya. We see how many hits there are in the Bhagavatam. A lot. Mahisya, but as other meanings, the queens is also Mahisya. Here, Canto 10, swelling the forest, yeah. But otherwise, it's all about the queens. That, and if we look in English, Buffalo, that's a city, of course, in the state of New York, we follow that buffalo milk. There's form lectures of Prabhupada, but if we look in the Bhagavatam, no, I don't see any further reference in the Bhagavatam than in this verse. That books buffalo horn, of course. That no, it's not there. But we can look at goats hit lists. Yeah, of course it's in many places, but not in the 10th canto. So it seems you are right. That's the only place where it's mentioned. Good. Research.
Thank you, Mama.
Any other point about getting in difficulty? Because we learn here, the cowboys get in difficulty, but they have faith Krishna will save us. That when we are in difficulty, to have faith Krishna will save us. That of course these two are connected. Krishna reciprocates with our inner attitude. Nectar of instruction, introduction. That advancement in devotional service, Srila Prabhupada writes, depends on the inner attitude of the follower. Inner attitude. That so what was the inner attitude of the coward boys that made Krishna reciprocate? That so they had faith in Krishna. Anyway, I can try to answer the question, but can you answer the question? That's the point. I would like to hear from you. That's what is our inner attitude when we take shelter of Krishna. Is it Chaturvida Bhajantimam Yechna Payapaste Tesham Nityabhyuktam Yoga? Yeah, Chaturvida Bhajantimam Yechana Sukataran Yona Arta Shrinasur Artarti Yani Sa Bharatakshava. So they take also these four mentioned in the four kinds of the devotees who take shelter of Krishna, but with material motivations. That how does Krishna reciprocate with them? That if one approaches Krishna with material motivations, how is Krishna going to reciprocate with them? So, what do we learn from the Bhagavatam? Anyone wants to answer that question? We approach Krishna with material motivations. How is Krishna going to reciprocate with us?
Yes, Maharaj. So sometimes if maybe Krishna will assess that whether this material situation is going to take a spiritual advancement for this person, the devotee, then maybe that is going to help and maybe he will reciprocate. Then maybe it is not going to be conducive for his spiritual advancement. Maybe he will not reciprocate.
That, well, happy to hear what how you see it, but we will hear from others before I will reply what my understanding is. Thank you, Shivas, Krishna.
And also, Maharaj, there is a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita or somewhere, I don't remember. The Lord is telling that, no, am I a fool that if a devotee is asking for some material benediction and
yeah.
To sanction it, I don't remember exact words, something like this. Just, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Rasamai Nityananda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I see some examples from Srimad Bhagavatam where they were actually purified. One example, at least Dhruva Maharaj first, where he also had material desire, and then he was purified. And one was very devastating. That was Diti example. She wanted to kill Indra. She had a material motive. And then Kashyap Muni directed that you do this Unsavan, this Vrat, this, I think that was to purify. So she was performing. She had a malice, kind of envy, hatred towards Indra. But later, when this Maruta, the 49 Marutas, they born, and then their heart were completely purified, and the change of heart actually took place, and a kind of they became like friendly nature. So these things I saw that okay, the change of heart takes place actually, although we may have material desires.
Yeah.
So that
Change of heart take place. Beautiful. Thank you, Rasamaya Nityananda. Mother Antaranga Tulsi.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. When you asked this question, the first thought that came to my mind was Akama Sarva Kamo Vamoksha Kamo Udarati. So any those who take shelter of Krishna, whether they little desire or any other desire for moksha or anything, they are intelligent. They have taken shelter of Krishna. And how Krishna responds to them from what I've seen in Bhagavatam is like same as both the Prabhus mentioned. If it is the Lord, we know from Bhagavatam that he always fulfills only the desire in such a way that one becomes more pure and one advances in Krishna consciousness. He will fulfill it in that way. And if the Lord doesn't fulfill it, that means he considers it as non-conducive for our spiritual life. So I was remembering the example of Prithu Maharaj. He wanted to perform the 100 sacrifices, but Krishna felt that it is not necessary. 99 is enough. So in that case, he did not fulfill the desire of Prithu Maharaj, but he still gave him the glory of gave him a very great glory. So, but in the case of Dhruva Maharaj, even if he did not want the desire to be fulfilled, still the Lord forcibly he said, no, you ask for it, you have to go through it. So Krishna, it completely depends on him. He decides whether to fulfill it because he knows everything. We don't know anything about our life, but he knows past, present, and future. He knows also in and out how he will react in every circumstance. So he will think nicely, and if he feels that this is good for the devotee, for his purification, for my purification, is it correct? Can I take through it, or better not give this? So he takes the call and he decides. And whatever he does, that is out of his love for us only. So there is no one way the Lord reacts, but whatever he does is out of his love for us and for our advancement and going back to him soon.
Okay. So Krishna is really concerned with us. Thank you, Mother Antaranga Tulsi. Very beautiful. So Krishna, even if we approach him with material desires, he will purify us from our anarthas, first thing, and he will purify our desire also, so that we gradually lose our taste for material desires and get to the higher taste. That's a great difference between worshippers of Lord Shiva. They do austerities, they ask for a boon, material desire, and they get it. Whether it's good for them or bad, Lord Shiva says, no, you get it. But Krishna is different. He wants, really, he gives us what's good for us. And what's good for us is mostly purification and purification of our desire. And so these are important lessons to learn here. The cowherd boys, they are taking shelter of Krishna, and Krishna is reciprocating. He's also reciprocating with the cows. Very beautiful, we see. Another lesson to learn is this: suddenly this fire comes up. And we sing every morning, Samsara Dava Nalalita Loka. It's the fire of material existence. That the fire suddenly comes. That sometimes suddenly someone becomes very sick, sometimes one gets an accident, sometimes a relation breaks suddenly. So many times suddenly our life changes by a sudden experience, danger at every step. But still, a devotee is fearless. Whatever happens, I take shelter of Krishna. And that faith is there. That faith is there. And we will see that is the beautiful reciprocation here in this pastime. That it strengthens our faith. We only have to take shelter of Krishna, and Krishna will take care of us. We take shelter of Krishna by following the instructions of the spiritual master. So that's beautiful. It's nearly 4:30. We'll have a pause now for 50 minutes till 4:45, and then discuss the last 7 verses of this chapter. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Hare Krishna. We will continue that first bring so this is the wrong one. Choose again. Okay, share. Yeah, that's where we came to, text 11. So, Sri Shuka Uvacha Vatsha Nisamya Kripanam Bandhunam Bhagavan Arihi Nimila Yata Ma Bhashta Lochana Nitya Basata. Can someone read the translation? Who is next to read?
Anandala Prabhu.
Oh, Hare Krishna. Ananda. Translation. Sukadeva Goswami said, hearing this pitiful word from his friends, the Supreme Personality of God, Supreme Lord Krishna told them, just close your eyes and do not be afraid. Puppet. When I read Puppet Maharaj?
Yes.
purport, but even Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada did that. This was clearly reveal the simple, sublime relationship between Krishna and his pure devotee. The absolute truth, the sublime, ultimate Lord is actually a young, blissful, coward boy named Krishna. God is youthful and is mentally is playful. When he saw that his beloved friends were three, three, three fight of the forest fire, he simply told them to close their eyes and not to be afraid. Then Lord Krishna acted as described in the next verses. Hare Krishna.
In the next verse, yes. Thank you for reading. So this is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. He says, he taught his boys should not see me swallowing the fire. It should be done without anyone seeing. As they are so tired and hot, I should place them under the cool shade of a beautiful bandira tree. After considering in this way, he said, close your eyes. But you are joking. How can we escape from the forest fire if we close our eyes? Do not fear. Today I will use another means to protect you. So I heard another reason why Krishna said, close your eyes. But before, many years before, when Krishna was in his Kaumara age, that Krishna was playing with the boys, and that Balaram and others complained that to Mother Yasoda that Krishna had eaten dirt. And yes, Mother Yasoda asked Krishna, did you eat dirt? And Krishna says, oh, they are saying that because they have lost the game. So this time he did not want to see them that they would be eating fire. So he said, close your eyes. Of course, there's like some animal that thinks, or the rabbit or some animal. So the tiger is coming to attack the rabbit, and the rabbit closes the eyes. I don't see it, so I will be okay. That's in this world, that we close our eyes to not see the danger. That will not help. But here it's different. Krishna says, don't close your eyes, and all the coward boys are full faith closing their eyes. Here. That's previously coward boys complained that Krishna had eaten dirt to Mother Yasoda. This time he was more cautious so that they would not tell that he had eaten fire. That's the point. This is Jiva Goswami. How greatly fortunate are Nandi Maharaj, the coward boy, and all the other inhabitants of Rajabhuma. There is no limit to their good fortune, because Krishna as their friend gave them prema, which is the highest bliss, eternal and complete. That Bhagavatam 10, 14, 32, that is probably spoken by Lord Brahma. So further, Jiva Goswami says, if they see me swallow the fire out of fear for my safety, they will immediately enter the fire. So that's the second reason. That they will be afraid Krishna will be harmed. That Therefore I will swallow the fire while they are not looking. That's another reason that text 12. Tateti mili taksisu bhagavanachnim ulbanam pitva mukena tatkritshrat yogadisho vyamusayat. All right, the boys replied and immediately closed their eyes. Then the Supreme Lord, the Master of all mystic power, opened his mouth and swallowed the terrible fire, saving his friends from danger. So this is Vishwanath Bhakti Thakur. Yeah, there's a purport. I know I'm reading again, but just bear with me. The coward boys were suffering from extreme fatigue, hunger and thirst, and were about to be consumed by a horrible forest fire. All this is indicated by the word Krishrat, Vishwanath Bhakti Thakur. There is one story. Krishna was thirsty, the fire unable to do anything against the will of Krishna, and being afraid turned into a very cool fragrant drink. It became a small drop of on Krishna's tender hand, and then as Yogadisha he drank it. So it's said here, Vishwanath Bhakti Thakur, that the fire became a very cool fragrant drink for Krishna. Not the experience of fire. And then further, Vishwanath Bhakti Thakur. Krishna delivered the boys from all difficulties, Krishna, from fatigue and the thirst from entering the dense forest. He did this by immediately bringing them to the base of the Bandira tree. So where in the previous chapter they were at this Bandira tree. He brought them back there. So, oh friends, you can open your eyes now. I've prevented the fire. The boys could understand. They and the cows had been saved. When they opened their eyes, they were astonished. And Jiva Goswami. By his power, the fire became a drop of a sweet beverage. So, Vishwanath Bhakti Thakur said it's a cooling drink, and Jiva Goswami said it's a sweet beverage. He freed the boys from danger in a special way, Vimayo Sayat, since he brought them to the Bandira. Text 13. Tatasate Xinu Unmilya Punar Bandiram Apita Nisamya Vishmita Asan Atmanam Gasamochita. The coward boys opened their eyes and were amazed to find not only that they and the cows had been saved from the terrible fire, but that they had been brought to the Bandira tree. Thus carrying and being carried by one another, and at the same time tending the cows, the boys followed Krishna to a banyan tree known as Bandira. Then 1822, that was previous chapter. Sanatana Goswami. The pastime of Talavan and Bandira happened in one day. All in one day. 14. Krishnasya yoga viryam ta yogo maya nubhavitam davachneratmanam kshemam vikshate menirim maram. Can someone read the translation in the purport?
When the cowherd boys saw that they had been saved from the forest fire by the Lord's mystic power, which is manifested by his internal potency, they began to think that Krishna must be a demigod. Purport. The cowherd boys of Vrindavan simply loved Krishna as their only friend and exclusive object of devotion. To increase their ecstasy, Krishna displayed to them his mystic potency and saved them from a terrible forest fire. The cowherd boys could never give up their ecstatic loving friendship with Krishna. Therefore, rather than considering Krishna to be God, after they saw his extraordinary power, they thought that perhaps he was a demigod. But since Lord Krishna was their beloved friend, they were on the same level with him, and thus they thought they too must be demigods. In this way, Krishna's cowherd friends became overwhelmed with ecstasy.
So they were thinking Krishna is a demigod, we are also demigods. That interesting. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. This verse shows that though they had seen Krishna's power, that knowledge could not be cover the strength of their Sakya Prema, as was the case by Arjuna and others. So this Sakya Ras is in the Ladini Sakti the highest devotional energy, or the devotional energy, which is the highest spiritual energy, and they would not come down from it. But like Arjuna, he came down from it when Krishna showed universal form. He became completely distressed, bewildered, and said to Krishna, "No, I don't want to see this horrible form. Please show me again your four-armed form and your two-armed form." And Arjuna says to Krishna, "Yes, I've dishonored you so many times. We ate together, slept together, that by familiarity I've dishonored you so many times, so please forgive me." But that would never happen by the covered boys. They remain in their Sakyaras, that they are equal to Krishna. That, yes. Seeing the power of Krishna to save them accomplished through his Yogamaya Shakti, they thought Krishna was a type of Deva, Amara. But because Krishna has done things humans cannot do, he must be a Deva, not a human. Because we are his friends, we must also be Devas. How could we be friends if we are not similar? Thinking like this, they were overwhelmed with bliss. That's Shiva Goswami. In this way, with an abundance of splendor caused by Krishna, they played with him. Though he is pure consciousness or happiness known as Brahman for the Jnanis, is the Supreme Lord for the devotees with Dasya Bhav, and is an ordinary human child for those covered by material illusion. So this is coming from, this is in the 12th chapter. That's the killing of the demon Aghasur. That so knowledge of Krishna's powers could not cover up the boy's pure friendship with Krishna, which is praised by all. That so many of these coward boys were Nitya Siddha, the devotees. They would never come down to the material platform. That text 15. Gasani Vahtya Sahanye Sarama Janardana Vena Venernayan Gostam Agat Goper Abhishtuta. Can someone read the translation, please?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
It was now late in the afternoon, and Lord Krishna, accompanied by Balarama, turned the cows back toward home. Playing his flute in a special way, Krishna returned to the cowherd village in the company of his cowherd friends, who chanted his glories.
So the day ended with in great joy. Shiva Goswami says Janardan means he whom the people of Vraj request to see at all times. At 16. Gopinam Paramanandam Ashit Govinda Dakshane Kshanam Yoga Satamiva Yasam Yena Vina Bhavat. Yep, can someone read? And the translation
Yes,
purport.
The young gopis took the greatest pleasure in seeing Govinda come home, since for them even a moment without his association seemed like 100 ages. Forward. After saving the cowherd boys from the blazing forest fire, Krishna saved the cowherd girls from the blazing fire of separation from him. The gopis headed by Srimati Radharani had the greatest love for Krishna, and even a single moment's separation from him seems like millions of years worth to them. The gopis are the greatest devotees of God, and their specific pastime with Krishna will be described later in this work. Thus end the purpose of the humble servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 10th canto, 19th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Swallowing the Forest Fire. Hare Krishna.
Yes, for the gopis, like a moment was 10,000 years or something. That so they felt great separation. That in that great separation, the time goes very slow. That and they were waiting for Krishna to return to from the forest. In the bushes, they were waiting to get a glance of Krishna from the left corner of their eyes, from the corner of their eyes. That also Lord Chaitanya, that he in Shikshastikam, he experienced these feelings of separation. That Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, yeah. Although everyone was blissful when Krishna entered the village, the bliss of Yasoda with her strong parental love was outstanding. So this bliss is outstanding. The love is also more intense. Paternal love than fraternal love, it's more intense. That so this was described in chapter 14:47. Now in this verse, the bliss of the gopis headed by Radha is described as Krishna entered the village. In terms of both quality and quantity, the gopis' love was supreme. Parama means that there was nothing beyond it. Which gopi? Her uncommon quality is mentioned. She experienced a moment, kshanam, separation, yena vina, from Krishna's 100 yugas. It's here called 100 yugas. Kshanam in neuter, instead of regular masculine gender, is traditional usage here. To experience a moment as 100 yugas is the quality of Adiruddha Mabhav, the highest stage of prema. After proceeding through Rati, Prema, Sneha, Mana, Pranaya, Raga, Anuraga, and Mabhav, that according to Ujjvala Nilamani, the gopis such as Radha possess this type of Mabhav. So yeah, it's so the Mahabhav. So prema is different stages. That it's pranaya, sneha, mana, raga, anuraga, bhava as a stage of prema, and then mahabhav. That it's mentioned in a different order here, but these are the 7 stages of prema. That this is mentioned also in Nectar of Devotion. Shiva Goswami. a moment like 100 yugas in his absence. When you go off to the forest during the day, a tiny fraction of a second becomes like a millennium for us because we cannot see you. And even when we can eagerly look upon your beautiful face, so lovely, with its adornment of curly locks, our pleasure is hindered by our eyelids, which were fashioned by the foolish Creator. So they are cursing Brahma because he made eyelids that blink, and during that little moment of blinking, they don't see Krishna. So this is from the Gopi Gita. Atateyat bhavam anikananam toti juhayate tvam apasyatam kuntila kuntalam shemukam sate yada udikshatam pakshma kritrisham. That's part of the Gopi Gita. So Sukadev also describes them in order of their intense prema. While gazing at their beloved Krishna, the young gopis used to condemn the creator of their eyelids. Now seeing Krishna again after such a long separation with their eyes, they took him into their hearts, and there they embrace him to their full satisfaction. In this way they become totally absorbed in ecstatic meditation on him. Although those who constantly practice mystic yoga find such absorption difficult to achieve. So they were the greatest yogis. So deep was their absorption that even the greatest yogis cannot achieve that. Such an attraction to Krishna. So the gopis mentioned in the verse are the young gopis. What was their supreme bliss? A moment seemed like 100 yugas in his absence. It is not possible to describe that bliss in essence, since it is beyond words and thought. However, by describing the opposite, some indication of the bliss can be given. They became extremely blissful at the moment they were able to see him. It indicates that they blinked their eyes. When they blinked their eyes, they were situated again in separation. The neuter ending on Kshanam is poetic license. Their full development of Rati in 7 stages, Bhav, Prema, Pranaya, Mana, Raga, Anuraga, and Mabhav, should be understood from Ujjvala Nilamani, written by Rupa Goswami. Now, Sanatana Goswami. Usually the commentary of Shiva Goswami and Sanatana Goswami are similar, but still I highlighted 2 sentences here. Just as he destroyed a forest fire for the boys, he freed the gopis from the fire of separation. So he compares 2 kinds of separation. That we are in this material world, and we are also in that fire of separation from Krishna. But we feel to develop that fire of separation. Rupa Goswami said we should develop laulyam, greed to have it. And that greed develops by hearing about Krishna. But the gopis have this greed, that they only want Krishna. They experience highest bliss in seeing Govinda. He was surrounded by cows and cowards as the king of the cows. So this is the end of the chapter. Any comments or that? what did you learn from this chapter? What struck you the most? That yes, Shivas Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So we saw about the separation Tattva and how the gopis they felt separation, and when they saw Krishna they felt in union. So in our practice of devotional service, so this mood when can we feel, and in what can we see this same thing in our devotional service, Maharaj. So I was trying to assimilate in our practical case.
Yeah.
So how do we?
If we feel separation from Krishna, then our devotional service becomes spontaneous. Spontaneous, we want Krishna. So the Prabhupada in some purport of lecture said, our Krishna conscious movement is meant to cultivate these feelings of separation from Krishna. So we cultivate these feelings of separation. The feelings of the gopis are the most intense feelings of separation, but this feeling of separation is in itself higher bliss in devotional service. It has nothing to do with material separation. If we have on the material platform feelings of separation, we suffer. But on the spiritual platform, if we feel separation from Krishna, we think of Krishna and we become blissful. So that's a complete different experience. So that, but that's meant. But in the beginning, we are feeling separation from the material energy. We want to enjoy. That although we hear we should not do that, it's foolish, but still we are attracted to it. So as long as we don't have the attraction for Krishna, that means we have attraction to the material energy. And we may be very sincere, but still the attraction to the material energy is there. And that's also explained in Bhagavad Gita, in the 5th chapter, 5, 6, I think of, that in the purport at the end, Prabhupada said, attachment to Krishna and attachment from this world is the same. So we should make a priority to become attached to Krishna. And then this attachment will follow. If we will want to become detached in another way, it's troublesome. And it doesn't work really. that because attachment is still in the heart. This attachment is uprooted when we become attached to Krishna. Does that help? Good. And there are many lessons that we have learned. Yes, Mother Radhamurti.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my obeisance. Maharaj, I learned from this chapter that as cowherd boys are totally dependent upon Krishna when they are in danger. So we should also depend on Krishna only.
Yeah, that's important. I just got a request to speak on a verse in chapter 89 of the 10th Canto. And that chapter is about Arjuna is witnessing a Brahman, and every time if a child take birth, it's taken away, it dies. And the Brahman complains to King Ugrasena, what kind of king are you that it happened already 10 times. You cannot protect your citizens. And Arjuna asked, Arjuna heard this and I said, I will stand there with my bow and I will protect you by the next birth of your child. And Arjuna was worshipping Lord Shiva for powers, not Krishna. But when the time came there that he could not protect the Brahman's child, and he died again. And he was going to enter the fire, but Krishna says, no, we will find his children. And anyway, that shows even Arjuna took shelter of Lord Shiva, but it didn't work out. That we have to take shelter of Krishna. He's our only shelter. And for the coward boys, it was their only shelter. And they had great faith. But it requires, to build that faith, it requires also knowledge. This Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that this is at the end, I think of the fourth, on chapter 4 in Bhagavad Gita, there he speaks about faith, and that a faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge, and having achieved it, he quickly attains supreme spiritual peace. So Krishna speaks about a faithful man dedicated to transcendental knowledge, but this transcendental knowledge are Krishna's words. We cannot say I've faith in Krishna, but not in what Krishna says. No, these are Krishna's words. If we are faithful in Krishna's words, then we can make the spiritual advancement. But it is based on knowledge. That faith on knowledge, but this knowledge must become experience. Must go to Vijnan, experience. That must be realized. So these coward boys did not need to cultivate knowledge. They were already on the level of realization. But our faith develops through the knowledge. That unless we are not on a liberated platform, this knowledge is very important. And this knowledge we get here also from this pastime. That Krishna is the only shelter. You have this forest fire, and only Krishna can help. We have Samsara Dhavana Lida Loka, the forest fire of this material world. And who can get us out of it? Only Krishna. Only Krishna is the only shelter. So therefore, I think it's a great lesson to be learned. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, Yadraj Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, I have a question. Maharaj, in the past we saw how the Gopas fully depended on Krishna. When there's fire, they immediately praise Krishna for help. But how in our spiritual life, Maharaj, because we say that Krishna has given us intelligence and we should try to work on our own endeavor to solve the problem rather than fully dependent on Krishna. So how we can, because our mind sometimes will tell us, take advantage, you are devotee, just on Krishna, don't have to do anything. So how we should address the concept of power?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's very important for us to understand that Krishna gives us intelligence. That he gives us intelligence to be used in devotional service. That is one of the ways he helps us. He gives us intelligence. And based on our intelligence, that he gives also intelligence to Brahma. Because what Brahma is praying for before the creation is empowerment, introspection, and protection against illusory energy, Maya. And the Lord replies to him, it's all granted as long as you engage in my devotional service. Fully you will not be touched by illusion. So Krishna gives us intelligence to be used in his service. And we should do that to the full extent. We should go to introspection, how to apply that in Krishna's service, and pray to Krishna, please help me to do the right thing, to understand this deeply, how to apply it. So that's our part we have to do. If we do our part, Krishna will do his part. But we have to do our part. Not saying, oh, I'm a devotee and Krishna will save me. That's a kind of false ego. It's dangerous. No, we should do everything really our best. Krishna sees it in our heart. And Krishna will do the rest. That's what we learn. And we are still trying to learn. Thank you. Good.
Thank you on that.
Good, then we will end here this pastime. I think okay, Shav Sharat
Hare
Pati.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, that 10th canto, all the commentaries, we have received that one. Do you have all the cantos? Can it be shared if it is available?
I've only the 10th canto. No,
Okay.
I don't have the other
Thank you.
cantos. Yeah,
Right.
but I will do some research. If I find something, I will send you. Mother
Thank you, Maharaj.
Sundari
Hare
Gopi.
Maharaj, I just wanted to share something that I had heard based on what Yodiraj Krishna Prabhu had asked. There are two types of, there are many types of surrender, but one is like the cat and the kitten. The kitten is in the cat's mouth, and the cat is carrying the kitten everywhere. And the other type of surrender is the monkey and the monkey's baby.
Yeah.
The monkey's baby is holding on tight. So then it is fully dependent, but it is doing the baby is doing the baby's effort, and the monkey is mama monkey is running all around. So it is. I feel every devotee has a very unique way of surrendering. The important point is to just surrender this way or that way, and if we can have some heroes in our life, we have so many Bhagavatam heroes, because Uttara she surrendered in a way, Bhishma Dev surrendered in a different way. So if we all can pick our own heroes and live life on following on their footsteps, then in difficulties it's very easy then just to meditate and recall how all they did the surrender part. So Vidura also surrendered, but his surrender was, okay, I will leave everything, I'll go to pilgrimage, I'll purify myself. So that's why I feel personally I like the Bhagavatam, because I get to, there are so many personalities whom I can really connect to. And then surrender and remember them in struggles all the time, that how they did it. So this is what I wanted to share.
This example of the cat and the kitten and the monkey, mother monkey, and the monkey baby who holds on. Prabhupada told this, that comes also from the Sri Sampradaya. But Prabhupada asked the devotees, what is best? Is it the monkey who is holding, or is the cat and the kitten? And the devotees gave different answers. Prabhupada said at the end that no, the cat and the kitten is the best, because then the cat takes the kitten in the mouth and you don't have to do anything. So yes, you have these different kinds of surrender, but that's a principle of the Sri Sampradaya. They say, prapachyate, you surrender once to the Lord and that's it. But for us, mostly, it's a process of surrender. It doesn't happen at once. Because we can say I surrender, but then we hold fast, we hold still to our material desires, which is contrary to surrender. But when you have the right motivation, you want only pure devotional service, and you might have still desires in the heart, but then you fully surrender to Krishna by engaging in his loving devotional service, and you don't want to do anything else anymore. Then, Krishna reciprocates. Krishna reciprocates according to our surrender, and we surrender in different ways, because we have different natures, psychophysical nature, and that's fine. Even in the spiritual world, we will have different natures, spiritual natures. So there is this variety in surrender, but there is also parallel to that the purity of surrender. Purity. So when you have the purity that are only, and that's Prabhupada mentioned that purity in Iya Yasya Aredasye Karmanamana Sakiri Nikalash Apavashtasu Jivan Muktauchate. You uses your body, mind, words, convictions, all in the service of Krishna, and you are implicitly liberated. So that will inspire Krishna to act as the cat and the kitten. But when we don't have that full pure motivation, we have to hold on and do our part. So I hope that clarifies a bit. Good.
Yes, Maharaj. I mean, I just want to again, what something that I try, because Arjuna gave the reins of his chariot in Krishna's hand, and I try to check whether I'm giving the reins in Krishna's hand or I'm holding on. Sometimes I give and I pull from Krishna's hand, because I want to, I think I can do it better way. So I mean, if we can constant, because Krishna consciousness is every moment's thing. It's not that suddenly we are like 24/7 Krishna. At one moment I'm Krishna, one moment I'm low. So I mean, we have to keep checking. At least I try to keep checking the reins is in Krishna's hand, or I'm trying to pull it from his hand. I just verbally tell it, Krishna, you drive my chariot of life. But then I like, oh no. So thank you, Maharaj, for that.
We try our best. Thank you. Shivas Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu.
Yeah, Maharaj, in your conversation, you mentioned about Brahma's prayer. And he prays some 3-4 things. One was empowerment, protection. Can you just repeat, Maharaj?
So it is praying for empowerment. The second one is introspection. And the third one is protection against illusory energy. So empowerment is one thing, but this introspection is important. Krishna gives us intelligence and how to use it in Krishna's service. That's introspection. And that's important. We pray to Krishna. This prayer is important. Also during the day we can keep in contact with these vandana prayers. That we have, before we are going to do service, we pray to Krishna. That Om Jnana Timandasya Jnana Shalaka Sakshuminitamina Tasmai Shigurvin. And we pray to our spiritual master, and then we pray for empowerment. Before we do something, it's important and then our actions may bear good results. Otherwise, we know if we act out of false ego, what comes out, that it's not so good. Good, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
So I thank you all for your association, and I look forward for the next section, which is in January somewhere, I think. That Hare Krishna, Jai Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hare
Hare Krishna, thank you very much.
Jai.
Re-